Big things are happening in the charts today, not for crypto, but for the stock market. The S&P 500 is now sitting at a new all-time high. We broke above the high that stems back to January of 2022, putting us in new all-time highs. And this is very positive for Bitcoin and altcoins. And the reason why is because the stock market hitting new all-time highs will boost speculator confidence. It is all about confidence in the crypto market. This is not an opinion-based thing. This is really just taking the average performance of Bitcoin, the amount of time it takes for Bitcoin to reach its new all-time high after the S&P reaches its all-time high. It's just math. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Svenson, and today we're going to be talking about the price of Bitcoin and also the stock market. Looking at Kraken Pro on the hourly chart, Bitcoin has been seeing a bit of a tumble down towards our critical 40,200 level. We bounced directly off of that level today, and this lined up when? It lined up exactly at the time that the S&P broke its all-time high. Bitcoin is already bouncing. The weekly is now back in the green, and the daily chart, the daily candle, is now also back in the green. And yesterday we were talking about this key support, 40,200, and that if we were to fall below that, that's when bearish action could take place. But we didn't fall. We actually bounced directly off of that zone. And that is the important thing about if-then thinking, if-then scenarios. If we break that level, then we could see downside. But we held. And this was perfect timing for the S&P to break the all-time high so that Bitcoin could, at least for now, hold that critical support. Going to the very low time frames, this is Bitcoin against the S&P on the 5-minute chart. After the stock market opened and the S&P ran to new all-time highs, you can see a high degree of correlation kicked right in for Bitcoin in the stock market. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the idea that Bitcoin and the stock market are correlated, but in this case, today, right now, it's a very good thing. We want it to be. We want it to be correlated because we want to get that hype, that confidence coming off of the stock market to enter crypto. You can see throughout history, generally the trends for Bitcoin and the stock market are very much aligned. And right now, it is no different. So this is going to be really positive for Bitcoin, I believe. Now, we've already discussed this on this channel, but I think it's worth going over once again now that it's actually happening. And so let's get some exact timing on this, what we could expect for Bitcoin now moving forward. And let's try to get an average to see what can happen now in this cycle. During the first halving, the S&P broke its all-time high. Right after the halving, and Bitcoin followed pretty closely, say about 9 weeks or 8 or 9 weeks. So that's 2 months. Let's just mark that down, 2 months for that one. All right, now moving on to the second halving event. S&P breaks its all-time high right here, July 2016, and Bitcoin follows right here 33 weeks later, about 7.5 months. So we had 2 months, now 7.5 months. And now let's move on to the last halving, the third halving. The S&P breaks its all-time high about right here, which is August 2020. And Bitcoin does the same 18 weeks later. And that is about 4 months. So our average is 4.5 months. That is the expected, possible, estimated time for Bitcoin to break its all-time high after the S&P does. Right now, the S&P has broken its all-time high. So just grabbing a bars pattern from an uptrend on the left, we can just place this here for Bitcoin. And that means that Bitcoin is going to be looking to break its all-time high somewhere in this range. And so looking at this now, it's kind of interesting to see that the 2024 halving in April versus the all-time high break, the expected all-time high break based on our calculation, come in pretty close to one another. So that is pretty exciting to see. Now, are we going to do exactly this? Are we just going to go straight up into the halving and then straight up into the all-time high? I mean, who knows? This is not an opinion-based thing. This is really just taking the average performance of Bitcoin, the amount of time it takes for Bitcoin to reach its new all-time high after the S&P reaches its all-time high. It's just math. It's not really my opinion. It is simply an unbiased calculation, whether you like it or not. Yeah, the chart does look really bullish here, but this is just what the history tells us. So take it for what you will. Bitcoin new all-time highs are expected somewhere in the month of June, potentially. The confidence is the key part about speculative high-risk markets like crypto. Confidence is key. And the all-time high break in the stock market is what drives speculator confidence. So in order for this to play out, we would need the S&P to be sustaining these all-time high areas, at least remaining at or above the all-time high zone and eventually pushing higher. And if that does happen, then we can be a little more certain that this becomes likely. If the S&P punches up and rejects this zone with a harsh pullback, well, things change at that point. There is a condition that's needed, and that is the S&P to sustain all-time high prices or just continue going up. So keep that in mind. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like and subscribe to this channel. Be sure to check out all the links below. BitUnex is a new futures exchange that I've been using. Also, sign up for Kraken Pro, which is rated the #1 safest exchange globally. And if you guys want extra content, be sure to join the Patreon, get in our Discord community, and I'll see you all in the next video.